Hey everybody, I'm Gino Reynolds from The Real Opinion. Today on The Real Opinion, we'll be talking about a fantasy video game turned movie, plus my number 5 most anticipated movie of the summer. Are these two worth checking out? Let's take a look. Warcraft. I have to admit that my knowledge of this fantasy universe pretty much stopped with Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness, circa 1995. While you don't need at least a general knowledge of all things fantasy to understand this movie, it doesn't hurt. Me, I've been known to crit on a 1d20 now and again, so even though I don't remember a ton about these games, I knew enough. It did help that I did remember some of the game's storyline. While I thought this movie was an okay fantasy film, I think its downfall is that the amazing-looking CG motion-capped orcs felt more human than the actual human characters. The orc story is by far more interesting than the human story, led by Toby Kebbell's amazing performance as Duratan. Their story and character building just made anything involving the human characters feel generic in comparison. I did like the look of the world and give the filmmakers credit for sticking with the over-the-top designs of everything, including the costumes. I think the main story suffered a little because they were definitely setting up for future films. I didn't totally dislike this movie, and I thought it was okay, but it was mostly nowhere near as good as I hoped it would be.
This war will destroy us all, but together, we might stand a chance.
The Conjuring 2. As a fan of the first movie, I was afraid that this sequel would not live up to the original. While I did have a few minor issues with this one, it is still a pretty decent continuation of the first movie. My minor problems were that it takes a little too long for the Warrens to get involved in the investigation, there is no mention of the possible possessed lockets from the first movie, and that the haunted family's claims are being doubted, but we as the audience know that they're telling the truth. That being said, if they withheld the truth and the scares, what would be the fun in that? As a whole, I felt that the story was still really fun and interesting. Like the first movie, there are two different stories being told, a haunting and the Warrens' personal struggles. Most of the scares are multi-layered, fun, and creative, which helps to keep the story going. There are a couple of scenes of possession, including one involving possible ventriloquism, that is really fun to watch. In the end, this is a pretty solid sequel, and I for one still want more stories about the Warrens. I'm not sure if that will happen, but there is a minor tease for more Annabelle, sorta. Despite its flaws, fans of the first movie will probably like this one too, but remember, it's only just one guy's opinion.
Honey, you're bleeding. What is happening?
I had a premonition of your death.
Next time on The Real Opinion, we'll be talking about two more movies. One is a movie about a mother and daughter moving on. The other is an abracadabra heist sequel. Until next time, I'm Gino Reynolds from The Real Opinion.